Hello everyone, this is Tisha Vifameng Joshua, and I'm going to take you through uh, this video about how to handle section B part 1. You remember I already handled section A, where we handled item 1 and then item 2. So even this time around we are going to handle item uh, 3 or item 4. So you are very much aware that section B is divided into two parts. We have part 1 and then we have part 2. So part 1 is having two items, you are supposed to choose one, and even part 2 is having two items, that is 5 and 6, and you're supposed to choose one. So for now I'm going to take you through part 1, which is having two items, item 3 and item 4. So this part is having, as I've told, is having two items, 3 and 4, and what we always talk about here, uh, we always want the learner to appreciate the contribution of chemistry to our economy. So first of all, we need to know what are the topics which are set in this item. In most cases, it's always industrial processes. So what are those industrial processes? One, we have the manufacture of oxygen gas, we have the manufacture of chlorine gas, we have the extraction of metals. Which metals? Here we talk about sodium, we have aluminium, we have copper, zinc, and then iron. Then we have the manufacture of fertilizers, we have the manufacture of sodium hydroxide, and then we have the manufacture of sulfuric acid, manufacture of ethanol, then manufacture of biogas, then manufacture of detergents. Those are the major topics which are set in this area. So for me here, I tried to actually organize for you side industrial processes where we have manufacture of chlorine, sodium hydroxide, lime, cement, nitrate fertilizer, ammonium nitrate, then extraction of metals, that is iron, aluminium, copper, and so on. Then carbon in life, where we have distillation, making soap, fermentation, that is manufacture of ethanol. Then air, we have the manufacture of oxygen, stock nitrogen. Then we have rates of reactions, where we have the manufacture of sulfuric acid. Then we have this topic, oxidation and then reduction, that is applied in extraction of metals. So majorly those are the topics which are set in this area. So we are going to first of all go through how are you supposed to answer it, how are you supposed to approach this question. But before we go any further, we need to know the basis of assessment in this item. So the basis of assessment in this item 1, you need to know the raw materials, meaning you must have mastered all the raw materials that are involved in these processes. Then what we always need again is the process of production. Are you well versed with the process of production? Because it is actually needed. So under the process of production, please pay attention to this part. Under the process of production, when you're giving us your process of production, make sure that it is having the vessel. You need to mention for us the vessel or apparatus that you're using. Then you're supposed to give us the chemical process, which chemical process is involved. Then you go on and then give us the conversion to desired product. Then coherence. When you talk about coherence, we need the coherent description of the process. Then purification. So that is under the process of production, how you're supposed to give it. Then the third one is the side effects of the process. Side effects of the process. If you're talking about manufacture of chlorine, side effects of the manufacture of chlorine. Then after giving us the side effects of the process, even give us their mitigation. Then we have the social benefits. That is actually the last one. So your responses to items 3 or 4 must actually have all those. First of all, we say the raw materials. 2, we have the process of production. If you lack one of these, then you are going to lose some marks. So raw materials, process of production. Where under process of production, we have the vessels, stock apparatus, we have the coherent. This is under process of production. We have vessels, stock apparatus, we have the coherent, and that is the coherent description of the process. Meaning, what do we mean by coherent description of the process? Is it chronological? That's what we actually mean. Then conversion to the desired product, and then purification of if there is any. Then third one is side effects of the process and their mitigation. If you're talking about manufacture of chlorine, give us the side effects and then how can you mitigate. If you're talking about manufacture of sodium hydroxide, give us the side effects and then how we can mitigate. So then lastly, last component within your response, it is the social benefits. You need to give us the social benefits of the process of production to the community or to the people around. So that's basically what we need in item in this item 3 or 4, because you're supposed to choose one, 3 or 4. So before you prepare to go for the paper, you need to be aware of all these four parts that you're supposed to include in your response. So we need to know the important tips for part one. What are those important tips before you even handle? So the important tips that you're supposed to know. One, I think let me begin with the okay, I began from side effects, but let me begin with the way we are supposed to arrange it. Raw materials. Under raw materials, mention all the materials within your description. If you know all of them, please mention all of them. Then, vessels, stock apparatus, you don't have to outline the vessels or apparatus, but embed them in your description. Always have them in your description. Don't actually just outline them as if you are making notes. Just make sure that you embed them in your description. We are going to see a sample of how you can do it. Then you need to actually show the chemistry. How are you going to show the chemistry? Do not forget to write equations, especially when describing the process of production. For example, under anaerobic conditions, an enzyme in yeast catalyzes the conversion of glucose to ethane. I think this is manufacture of ethane. You are supposed to give us the equation for the reaction. For example, the one that we gave here. You are supposed to give us, because that is also one of the marking points. Then social benefits, make sure that uh, the social benefit that you're giving at must be identified. Identify it very well. After identifying it, give the effect of the social benefit. After giving the effect of the social benefit, give us the impact. How is it impacting the people? Effect of social benefit, then impact. And there we are supposed to have 3 scores. For example, I gave an example for what I'm talking about here. The people living around the cement factory. Now here we gave an example of the production, the manufacture of cement. So what are the social benefits we are going to identify? For example, here the people living around the cement factory can get employment opportunities. You have identified the social benefit, but how does it affect? How is this social benefit affecting the people? So at the factory, and they earn an income. By telling us that they earn an income, meaning you are telling us the effect of this social benefit to the people. Then give us the impact. How does the earning of the income impact these people around? Continue to say this allows them to afford the basic needs like shelter and education, which improves their standards of living. So this is the complete answer. You have identified the social benefit, you have given us the effect of that social benefit to the people around, then at the same time you have given us the impact of the social benefit. So there you qualify to get all the 3 scores. Then from there, side effects. Uh-huh. Under side effects here, you need also to pay attention. The side effects, stroke danger, must be identified. Must be identified. After identifying, explain. After explaining, now try to mitigate for us. And there you also qualify to get all the 3 scores. For example, here we are still under the manufacture of cement. So here we said the dust produced in the cement factory can end up in the respiratory system of the workers. That is already a side effect or danger that you have identified. Now explain it. How you going to explain? For example, here and cause respiratory complications such as asthma. That is an explanation. Then, after explaining for us, how are you going to mitigate? The workers must wear protection. They're supposed to be protective gears in form of masks to maximize this. So, there you have given us the complete answer, the side effects. Side effect identified, side effect explained, and at the same time side effect has been mitigated. There you qualify to get all the three scores. So that is measured how you are supposed to answer this item. These items 3 and 4, either 3 or 4, because you are supposed to choose one. So that is uh, those are some of the important tips on this item. Now let's go to one of the examples. For example, oxygen production or the manufacture of oxygen. So this is the scenario. They said air, which is a mixture of different components, contains 21% oxygen. Due to a wide spread of respiratory illness caused by COVID-19, there was an increased demand for oxygen by patients in hospitals. The government supply of oxygen is not enough and is planning to set up an oxygen production plant with minimal environmental impact. However, the science club members in your school would like to know how the process of production would be carried out. Now they are giving the task as a chemistry student. Make a write up you'll use during the presentation. So already here they have given the scenario is already telling you what you're supposed to tell us. They are talking about oxygen manufacture or oxygen production. So when you read a scenario like this, what are you supposed to think about? You need to have the basis of how are you going to respond. First of all, you need to know the raw materials for the manufacture of oxygen. Secondly, you need to actually know the process of production. Under your process of production, we say that under your process of production, you need to make sure that at least you know uh, the vessel or the apparatus that you're going to use. You need to know the coherence. You need to describe it chronologically. You need to make sure that you give us the chemical process. You need to give us the conversion to desired product. So those are the things that you're supposed to be knowing. Then at the same time, you accompany your explanation with some equations. Yes. So you need to revise all that. Then from there, after giving us the process of production, now go on and tell us and give us the side effects of the process of production. After identifying the side effect, explain it. After explaining it, give us the mitigation measure. Then lastly, give us the uh, you give us the social benefit. Identify it, explain it, sorry, identify it, give us the effect of that social benefit to the community, then go on and give us the impact of that social benefit to the community. I hope we are moving together. So that's how you are supposed to actually tackle this item 3 and 4, which are found in part 1 of section B. So that is our scenario. It is about manufacture of oxygen or oxygen production. Now let us see how we tackle this. Now the raw materials, it is liquid air or just air. Liquid air or just air. That is raw materials. Now, process of production. But now, for you, when you are giving us, please don't rate these subheadings. Just make sure that you organize your work in form of paragraphs. They are enough. So, the process of production the process of production, uh, air, you can say air is passed through air filters to remove dust and smoke particles. It is passed through concentrated sodium hydroxide solution to absorb or remove carbon dioxide and water vapor. It is also passed through silicon 4 oxide or silica gel to absorb water vapor. Then go on and say carbon dioxide and water vapor are removed from air before it is liquefied, because they solidify and block the apparatus when the air is cooled. So the air is repeatedly compressed, allowed to rapidly expand and cool until it turns into a pale blue liquid at about 200 degrees Celsius. The liquid air is fractionally distilled using a fractionating column or tower. Nitrogen boils off first because it has a lower boiling point, then leaving behind oxygen with a higher boiling point. Then both nitrogen and the oxygen collected contain traces of noble gases. Then go on and tell us pure oxygen is then stored under pressure in a steel cylinder. So now let us go through this process of production very well when we identify what we are supposed to include. Here we said Air is passed through air filters to remove dust and smoke particles. That is purification. It is passed through concentrated sodium hydroxide solution to absorb, stock, remove carbon dioxide and water vapor. That is still under purification. It is also passed through silicon 4 oxide or silica gel to absorb water vapor. Then you go on and tell us carbon dioxide and water vapor are removed from air before it is liquefied because they solidify and block the apparatus when the air is cooled. The air is uh, the air is repeatedly compressed, allowed to rapidly expand and cool until it turns into a pale blue liquid at about 200 degrees Celsius. The liquid air is fractionally distilled using a fractionating column. Now this is the vessel or apparatus. Nitrogen boils off fast because it has a lower boiling point, leaving behind oxygen with a higher boiling point. Already the information is flowing chronologically. That is coherent explanation. Both nitrogen and oxygen collected contain traces of noble gases. Pure oxygen is then stored under pressure in cylinders. Here you're giving us conversion to desired value. So basically, that's how you are supposed to give us your explanation. Then from there, go on and give us the social benefits. Go on and give us the side effects. I told you how are you supposed to give us the social benefit. Social benefit, give us, identify the social benefit. How is this manufacture of oxygen going to help the people in the community? Give us the social benefit. After identifying it, go on and give us the effect of that social benefit. After that, go on and give us the impact of that social benefit to the community. Then from there, even the side effects like that. So there you can be able to score all the marks in this item 3 and then item 4. So what you need to know are these major tips: side effects, social benefits, social, you mean the vessels apparatus, raw materials. All of them are supposed to be included in your response. Then under process of production, I told you what you're supposed to include: vessels or apparatus, coherent description of the process, and then conversion to the desired product, and then purification if there is any. So for today, let us end there for this item. We meet in the next video for item 5 and then item 6, and then we'll see how we are supposed to handle it.